Hello, I'm Justin. This is Kellan, and welcome to The Fizz. Kellan, a topic I was interested in early on, I guess I'd say, in my AI journey, is there was a lot of pretty academic research that was coming out around the topic of I think they called it cognitive offloading, which is essentially what happens to your brain when you hand off certain tasks to AI. Kind of the same way when the world was introduced to something like the calculator, we stopped thinking about mathematics or arithmetic in a certain way, and this happened in a certain way with the internet, and I kind of forgotten about
digital phone books.
Yeah, it's
I used to know so many numbers.
Right. I know.
Yeah.
I know exactly 2 numbers.
I think I know 3, and only because my parents' numbers are 1-digit difference.
Yeah, I just know mine, and I know my wife's. Yeah, your own.
Kidding.
You don't know your own phone number, dude. We got to talk. Claude, what's my phone number?
It doesn't know.
It's I've searched everywhere. I can't find it. So anyway, this, I found this to be interesting, and I think resonated at the time. I was like, yeah, this is a real thing that's going to happen. Certain parts of the way we think and work and process information is going to change very significantly, slowly over time. But there were some just articles written on Substack that jumped into my feed that were kind of wrestling with this question again. It was like, hey, are we handling all of our thinking over to machines? And if so, is that good? Is that what we want? And then kind of the news story that I saw that was kind of related to this idea, sort of a thumbs down on the human plane for me, is Meta is getting sued because allegedly they used an AI to help determine who should be laid off when they did their big mass layoff. And I don't, something like that, right? Which is a pretty big deal for someone to get laid off. If I'm being honest, people have been using technology to figure that out for a while. There's been all kinds of stack and rank and sort, and so the suit is an interesting angle, but it's sort of related to what are we comfortable, offloading to machines? What are we not comfortable offloading to machines? And I don't think there's an answer, right? But you and I have seen through our own work, you'll hand off things to Claude and it'll think a certain way about it. You'll go, no, bring it back. But then other times you're like, yes, absolutely, that is 100% the thing we should be doing. Kind of, I don't know, your thoughts on this category of observation news, your own journey with it.
So when it comes to things like people matters, people's livelihoods, I still think Claude or ChatGPT is a good tool as a thought partner and stuff like that, but it's not like a decision tool. The humans are and should always be. And I think the main reason for that, I think, is accountability. Whenever someone we've had to lay someone off, we've done it with a human lens, which means that we've taken accountability that this has to happen, and it's not what we want necessarily, but is what's needed, and then we own it, and help the person along, assuming this is just a downsizing type of thing, and there wasn't some legal issue or something like that. But in this case, this is a downsizing basically to reduce spend because they spent way too much money on AI, and or some market related BS to say, look at what we did because we spent this on AI. We were able to reduce this much headcount, so increase our stock price so we can make more money. That kind of bullshit. So assuming. I mean, there's definitely some part of that. It just depends. I don't know what the ratio is of different factors. But if it's a downsizing like that, in this case in particular, the lawsuits themselves indicate the accountability wasn't really done. So I don't love this. It's a bad look. I hope their stock does take a hit because it's just, I'm not going to blame AI necessarily for this. It's the humans leveraging AI to do something they shouldn't have fully. They should have used it to help. They should have been asking questions to the AI, how do we make this not so painful for people? Or we're thinking about reducing headcount because of X. Does that actually justify? Things like that, to actually critically think through the problem. So cognitive offload is true, but it's a loop, right? So if it only knows what you feed it, the context that you provide it. So if you're just providing it a half story, then that's the story. That's the narrative that's going to play out to the outcome. Like whatever, like, so like if you don't say anything about like your intentions with the stock or your intentions with like that AI is going to do this and that's why we're doing that. And it has, and you give it the runway to be like push back if you disagree based on data, it's not doing any of that because it's not telling it to. It's telling a narrative. It's populating its narrative with whatever it wants, that person wants, and so that's just like bad actor kind of stuff. And layoffs happen from time to time. This one is just bad. And there's been a lot like this.
I know.
It's not just Meta. Like a number of clients are having to hire back their engineers and different staff because they got ahead of their skis on what AI is truly capable of. And we've been talking about what AI can and can't do for a long time. Long time in AI
long
technology
time.
terms.
I would agree with one of the points you made, and because I've been you and I, we've been in the room when like having to make these decisions ourselves, or like we're involved in some companies we used to work for earlier in our career, right? And there's nothing wrong, in my opinion, with using technology to help you through that process, right? And we would always like, yeah, sure, like things like performance reviews or feedback, hard evidence type stuff is always one piece of the pie, right? It's like, okay, but like at some point,
not all of it.
There's not all of it. There's like a degree of judgment. There's a degree of, what happens to things like culture and continuity of the team. Like these are very, you just nailed it, like very nuanced, very difficult decisions. And like, there's nothing more difficult as a leader to like look someone in the eye and tell them they don't have a job anymore. It's just like, I'm not looking for the experience of like doing the Zoom call and like lay off 1,000 people at the same time. I don't ever want to have that type of thing happen in my life. I'm not interested in that. One at a time is very difficult and it's hard enough. But, aside from sort of the layoff angle of this, like this idea of like just offloading thinking and judgment, I think the word accountability really is the story. It's like, where does accountability start and end? Because what's so different with AI, let's just compare it to software. Let's say I asked you to build me a piece of software that like automated a part of my business. And if that broke, it'd be very clear, like that was essentially your responsibility, that it like,
who's the author?
Yeah. Right. And you wouldn't disagree with that. You wouldn't go, oh my gosh, the code is wild and crazy. You'd be like, you're right. I made an oversight or an error in the code and that's on me. I'm gonna fix it. Right. With AI, these things go and explore things, right? So, you and I, it happens in passing in conversation where we're working on an app or a part of how we run Tiny Bottle. And we're always like, oh, I had no idea Claude did, right? I had no idea Claude did that. Which is kind of true because AI, it can do so much so quickly, write entire pages of code and build artifacts in different systems and stitch together a whole business process sort of on the fly. And then you start using it, think it's great. And you're like, oh, this is like one little detail. I didn't know Claude did that. And so I think there's this very human and natural tendency to say like, well, that's not my fault because I didn't explicitly ask for Claude to do that. Right? Sort of like, the defensive posture is like a very natural thing there. But I still think this is very similar to just general leadership. So like if you're a leader and you've got a team working under you and maybe they're all managers and they have teams working under them. If someone's not performing well, like ultimately like all that rolls back uphill. It's like, well, who hired that person? Who created that role? Who created the expectations? Who set the goals? Right. And so I think it's a very interesting conversation that we're wrestling with all the time. It's like, okay, where is that boundary between what I want the AI to think about and decide and where I need to think about and decide? I think, and one of the major limitations, I think you and I, we both experience this all the time, is all Claude, I'll just use Claude generically, it could be ChatGPT, whatever. All the AI sees is what it has access to. And so I've seen instances in sessions I'm having with AI where it will conclude that something has a certain significance that's not correct, right? And so you imagine, sales for me is a good example. I had a lot of experience doing that and sort of managing opportunities and what I'm doing next. And so like it'll conclude like, oh, this is a big deal that you haven't done this yet. Like 5 alarm fire type language in the session. I'm like, whoa, no. it's like, my bad. Like, here, let's first like get current. Like, here's what's happened. Here's the conversation I had. Like, here's what's on my mind. And when I see those sort of things, it's like, I would not want this system to run autonomously deciding what actions to take, because of that tendency. That's like a really concrete example for me where it's like, so I try and coach is maybe not the right word, but I try and tune my system, my AI coworker, to have some grounding rules of like, hey, like, we confirm current state first, right? Then we adjudicate what should happen next. And like, that's a really simple example for me, but you're using AI all the time for all kinds of different things. Like, where are some places where like you feel like extremely comfortable offloading something to AI, and places where you're like, absolutely not? Like, that stays with me.
So I don't know where I mean, code is probably a good one, like user facing code where you're
Mm-hmm.
like, not code, but like user facing like pages and things like that, where
Mm-hmm.
like copy is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Like just letting it write copy is probably a poor choice without review, because it just lacks so much like creative kind of vision in your head that it's
Mm-hmm.
just like at this moment, like doesn't have the neuro power
Right.
to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And make it sound like an actual like human
Mm-hmm.
with like a perspective and an opinion and things like that. So copy, I think, is a good one. Like LinkedIn, for instance, is just flooded with like people getting on the AI slop kind of train in
Mm-hmm.
terms of like having like getting on one side or the other in terms of like, is AI generated content okay or not, that
Right.
kind of thing. So that one's, I don't know where I'm landing on that, by the way. I'm
Yeah.
kind of like, I waffle between, like, is human slop worse or is AI slop worse? Like, I don't know.
I saw.
Um,
I almost got snarky, and I tried, and I don't ever want to be snarky on LinkedIn. It's like not my style. But there was a post where someone's like, "Hey, it's so basically like, hey, it's so obvious when you're using AI to write your posts because of these tells, these tells, these tells. And so here's how you fix it. And the how you fix it was a prompt that you would give to
uh-huh.
the AI." And I was like, what are we doing? What are we
Yeah.
doing here?
I'm
You
more
know?
basically trying to like, it's really annoying because it's like, there's like all these like, AI monitor, like unofficial AI monitors out there on LinkedIn that like took this title on
Yeah.
to be like, that's AI. And it's like, what the hell? I didn't write this in AI. I don't know what to tell you. Like, why are we
Who
doing
died and
this?
made you the grammar police?
Yeah, like I don't understand. Like, what's going on? Why is this the bar now?
Mm-hmm.
So you can either trust me or not. Like, I don't like the big thing in my mind is was there value provided? Like, was there a perspective given?
Mm-hmm.
Is it content that like is actually helpful to other people? Not if it was written by AI or a human. I don't care.
Right.
Like there are newsletters I follow that are basically AI generated, but they're like
Mm-hmm.
really, really well curated. So like don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want a human deeply involved. I don't want it like going off. So like post me 10 posts this week on X, and I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
see the drafts. I just like, yeah, that no one's benefiting from that.
Right.
No model right now can provide a perspective that is free of like your individualized context.
Right.
So like it's just not possible.
Yeah.
Maybe it will be in the future, but it's not now. So I think copy and stuff like that is one, but I don't know. It's kind of a segue, or not a segue,
Yeah.
a
No, that's
sidebar,
good.
because it's just so annoying. Like I just like
Yeah.
stop with the like virtue signaling and the like. I get it. You
Mm-hmm.
think you can read AI slop? Like wow, I'm so impressed.
Mm-hmm.
Like just tell me like if my post was bad. Like I actually don't care if like about your assessment of if it was AI or human.
Yeah. No, there's an authenticity and like in a sense of accountability in some of these things. So, like, I, I don't necessarily have a problem with the use of AI to help do any sort of writing whatsoever. Like if that's your jam, but like you're the one feeding the ideas and the value you're trying to get through,
mhm.
like I don't, if you use the technology to try and make that work, I think when it's being used kind of at scale to kind of game the system, that's a
Yeah,
little icky. Like,
100%.
you're not out there commenting. You've got an open claw watching, and like, and so there's an inauthenticity to that, which is going to happen, right? That's just, and I think certain people, they'll get fed up with certain things, and that's where maybe like new platforms start to spin up where they can go find the kind of the real authentic conversations that they're looking for. I've gone in my own workflow from having AI do things like write a first draft to like not doing that at all anymore, and just like bullet points of like some ideas. And I think like if you're out there like wanting to do more writing or wanting to do more posting, whatever it is, just do it. Just like sit down for 15 minutes and write until your fingers can't type anymore. And then this works really well for me. And then I'll throw it at AI, be like, can you help me clean this up? Or is my point clear? And like, it won't change the words I wrote. Like if I have like a quirky little anecdote about, explaining an idea, like that was original and still there and it's all good. But I think we're going to be like, we're already doing this. Like we're already offloading things over to AI. And so I think the question isn't like, are we all going to become dumber because we use AI so much? It's like, how do we do that in a way that like creates more value? And like, how do we understand like those boundaries? Like a different example that I do every day, like I'm pretty comfortable because I collect things. I'm kind of a hoarder throughout the week. I'll see an article. I don't have time to read it. So I'll collect it to an inbox or a queue, right? Or, I'll log a bunch of notes from meetings I've had. And I'm pretty comfortable like handing off to AI, like, hey, here's kind of everything that hit my plate this week, like triage it, right? Because it does a relatively good job at that, but I'm still in the loop at the end to be like, I agree, I disagree, whatever the case might be. But where I found I don't really like to offload like the really deep decision making. Like I'll get lots of input from AI. So let's say I'm wrestling with how to do marketing more effectively for a tiny bottle. Like I don't have a problem with somebody like, hey, Claude, here's kind of what my problem is. Like I'd love some research or some advice or some suggestions built on best practices. But what I don't want it to do, and this could be, I know people are doing this, I don't want it to like mint it as like decided, post it to our internal knowledge base, wire your system up to that way of thinking. Like, like those big calls, like I want to make those calls, right? But I would never get to kind of a confidence state at nearly as quickly or as effectively, like without being able to offload certain things to it, building applications is another, like I'm totally fine. Like, hey, Claude, here's a vision. Let's go into plan mode. Let's build a big workflow. Let's do it. But like, I'll never trust Claude that when it says like, it's done, it's beautiful and super user friendly. Like I'm going to go in there and I'm going to use it myself as like a human would.
God, I want to see you do that because that's so not Justin behavior. I'd be curious what like Claude how would it even respond? I guess you've turned off all your memory files, but
I've turned off all my memory files.
But when they were on, I'd be curious what that would generate. It would probably just be like, no.
Yeah.
You've never done that before. We're not doing that now.
Yeah. But like, because Claude, like it's like I don't know why, but this happens in like design work or app work. You get like Claude does a lot of redundant stuff, especially on the UX layer that you can improve over time with rules and your Claude MDs and conventions and things like that. But, there's a sort of like what we talked about when we were done with Pathfinder, like there's that last 5% of I can't trust Claude telling me it's ready. I have to know it's ready.
Right.
Which is very different than like, oh, I built a loop and I told Claude to build a thing and it just went as self-recursively improving all the time. I got 100 paying users. It's like, bullshit. No, you
don't. I mean, I have a daily routine as well with like a daily AI partner assistant, what are you going to call it? It's like you do. Well, obviously a little different, but it's kind of same spirit. And one of mine is actually like when it gives me the updates. So there's 5 phases of it. When it's all done, it provides like the huge, question answer kind of thing where it's like, okay, let's go through the 10 decisions we need to make. Since I'm an assistant, I'm not a decision maker.
Right.
And in mine, I have one of the report outs is like how many decisions were made. It's a running total, basically. I mean, it's every day it has its own number, but like how many human decisions were made and how many autonomous decisions were made. That's actually like every turn it has it.
That's pretty interesting.
Because I'm just curious, like how many, like it also kind of keeps it honest, implicitly. Because then it's like, wait, are you judging me on this? And I don't really tell it. Although I did tell it, like, if we're not making at least 8 human decisions a day, we're failing and we have to tweak something. But other than that, like I said, I want to know the ratio, but didn't tell it why. And then it'll keep kind of like working its way into like a circle in a
Oh, that's
sense, to
wild.
try to figure out how to get more human decisions made.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, and so that's been an interesting experiment I've had for the last, couple weeks, but like where it's giving me decisions and it's trying to actually push more human decisions through, which actually helps because
Mm-hmm.
it's driving. It's not like the decisions, like getting to the decision in the most informed way possible is actually like the most valuable thing that AI can do for me.
Mm,
It's not so much like build this thing or automate this process or build ETL or what,
right.
like some technology thing. It's actually like how many decisions can I make with the most informed set possible
Right.
as a human being to
Mm-hmm.
keep things moving. I've found to be the most effective use of AI among all the other really cool buildable demos you can do. You
Right.
know,
I think
and
AI decision making, AI is really smart. I'm not taking anything away from that, obviously, but like something that would make decisions by itself on like a day in, day out basis. And I'm not talking about machine learning, right? Like, not like, is this customer predicted to churn? Yes, no. Should we send a follow up? Yes, no. Like, we've had these types of solutions for a long time, like classical automation, classical machine learning, like an AI system deciding, like, would this prospect be a good customer for us? Yes or no? Like, you have to constrain the blast radius of that decision to be pretty focused, and you need to feed it with all of the right context. And be pretty clear of like, I actually found this to be really useful. Just that simple, like, always affirm current state about a situation before we
mhm.
adjudicate what we should be doing about it. Kind of maybe similar, like kind of your human decision stuff. Like, so I just think some of what's in, I guess where I'm going with this is some of what's in the hype cycle is this idea like you can just have this fully drop in replacement AI for like an entire functional area of a business or like an entire component of your life. And that's such a broad deal that requires so much context that is like, when you're the user, that stuff is just always evolving in your brain, like your brain's not streaming yet to, some sort of
Yeah,
event hub, right? So when especially now as people are talking about things like loops and those sorts of architectures, like, be mindful of the criteria that's going to operate on, right? And the risks involved. I think about like, how bad is it if this thing makes a mistake? Like, that's a good way to frame like, oh, like, cause we always think like, oh, of course it'll work. It'll be awesome. We can do anything. It's like, but what happens when it makes a mistake? Is it
right.
a small thing, sort of like no big deal, we can survive it, or is it like a big thing? Like, yeah. Yeah, I think these are hard, or like this is not easy. It's like not a trivial deal.
Hmm.
I think there's a lot of situations that are like this with AI where there's not a widely accepted, clearly understood like way to do something. Like if we were to pull up our kind of main Claude estate that we use for our own personal use every day, like we work together. We talk to each other almost every day. We share notes all the time. Our systems look different,
Yeah,
right? They look
yeah.
they do. And we're getting value in different ways. But I think, for me, I always try and think about where can I get actual assistance,
Hmm.
research, triaging things, going through our transcript of this show and helping me figure out where cuts might make sense, scaffolding out tasks and things like that. But like, when it's a judgment call, I usually want to be involved because
Hmm.
even the little things, I made a note to myself the other day. I was like, I should try to stop saying like, oh, I can't believe Claude did that, because ultimately like that's a result of like what I did in that session,
Yeah, yeah.
and sometimes I just overlooked a detail that was actually in a plan file that I didn't like, or so. Yeah. But yeah, I think especially when the stakes are high, anything that's like human to human, um, I saw something really gross too on LinkedIn the other day where companies are using like an AI, either an avatar or like a voice agent
Uh,
to do like first round phone screens for job applications.
I saw that too.
Like and like I'm just like, Ew.
I saw that too. That's
I don't like that. Like,
God. No, no thanks.
no. No. I already, it's like if I'm in that world right now, it's like it's already hard enough to get past the
Yeah,
AI bots running on the ATS. It's like,
yeah. No, thank you.
no. If no, is this part of the job? Are all your clients AI bots too, or something?
So like a lot of this stuff, I think, comes down to context in the sense of like cultural decay a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. That's a really big word, but like more in terms of like um, people just not taking accountability and
Mm-hmm.
addressing like, is this how I would want to be treated? Is like a general rule.
Mm-hmm.
Not like in necessarily like in a Christian way. I'm saying like
Right.
in a broader sense, like would you,
Right.
if you were on the other side of the table, would you want to be treated like this? Is like, when people say like human, I think that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of what they mean by it, which
Right.
is a cute kind of way of saying it. But
Mm-hmm.
like would you want to be treated this way if you were that other person is kind of like a good
Mm-hmm.
rule, I think, to follow.
Yeah.
And if your AI is generating recommendations that don't kind of meet like
Mm-hmm.
your personal moral compass in this sense, like then you know that like, oh, the AI doesn't have the right context. It doesn't have the
Right.
information about like,
Right.
oh, this needs to be a human, like this needs to be like a something that's like handled with care and is like important and it has that gravity to it.
Yeah. And those moments, you hit on something I think is maybe like an easy pattern. It's like when you realize AI is misinterpreting something, giving you bad advice, making a mistake, and you realize that that's happening because it's missing some information
Mm-hmm.
or it's misinterpreting information. So as I take it for granted that this is kind of how I work. I realize at first it's like, okay, could I solve that problem and would I want to?
Right.
Because sometimes I was like,
That's really
oh,
smart.
like you showed me something you're using the other day. It's like, oh, that's how it could get that information. So it's not up to me to like have to always tell it. So it's like, oh, okay, maybe I could improve that.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, is this just a situation where I don't want the AI to try and, render the next action or the next decision, but to just sort of present the facts and like ask me
Yeah.
where to go? So,
That's a
like,
really good like clip that because that's a really good like from a practitioner perspective like
yeah.
to try to like it doesn't even not even just for like high stakes accountability just like general like habit forming
Mm-hmm.
usage with AI I think is a really good like you get ahead of like months of frustration
Mm-hmm.
by kind of adopting some of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So not
Um,
to mention you won't get sued.
yeah.
um
Right. Try and stay out of the limelight in that way here at Tiny Bottle.
I feel like when I started with AI, like I I felt like I still feel this way, like that my desire for knowledge and stuff is like far more able to be like met than it was prior. Like I wanted to understand like different things about technology that I just like really had a hard time understanding, or
Mhm,
like I wanted the ability to like search on Google and like find like the true
mm,
answer instead of like the search ads kind of recommendation. And I'm not saying AI is perfect at this, but like you can start to really like break down something that you want to like understand better.
mm,
And that's not cognitive overload that or cognitive offloading. That's what I want. I
yeah,
wanted more information.
yeah,
So anyway,
yeah.
parting thought.
I think the takeaway for me in this is like, I don't really want to live a life or have a work environment where I'm just constantly doing whatever the AI is telling me to do. That's what's happening in some of these stories is AI is like, oh, you should talk to this person. You should do this, or this is a problem. This isn't a problem. And you're just sort of like blindly doing that, which is sort of, I understand the trap because what's a good example? Like something like a workout plan. Like
Hmm.
I do value, like, I don't have to think. Like the decision's already been made. I just got to go execute. But there's certain things it's like I want to be the one that made the decision about what I'm going to be spending my time on today.
Yep.
And I think I love what you said at the end there. I just would echo it. Like I think because of AI, our pursuit of knowledge will increase. I think so much of the narrative kind of rounds to like just automate the status quo. It's like no, now like I can learn more, I can do more, I can be like, and so I'm always able to kind of keep running after that. But if your goal is like I lead a mindless life, where Claude is telling me what to do all the time. Yeah, well, we're constantly tinkering and finding the rough edges in this stuff, and I think who knows? Who knows how smart these things will get and how much they will or won't
Hmm.
make us dumb. But for the moment, I feel like I'm trying to avoid that trap.
Yeah.
I even think, maybe my very final thought, we'll see if it makes the cut. It's like, even if you're using AI to do something you historically wouldn't have, build a website, build an app, design a graphic novel, like, whatever. Don't just like mindlessly let AI do, like, learn about how it all works. That was probably one of the most effective things for me in the early going with AI is when I was building apps, some of the first apps I built, I always had Claude like do an educational briefing in the plan.
Yeah, same.
And so I learned like, okay, this is what this is. This is what this is about. And I think, has that materially changed the quality of the work I'm able to do? I'd like to think so, because
I think it
the
has.
language, I understand more of the language instead of just mindlessly like, yeah, do whatever you think is best,
Yeah.
So yeah, figure out where that boundary is for you. Try to codify it in your system, whatever that means for you, your Claude MD file, your system instructions in ChatGPT. You'll have a more enjoyable time working with AI if you sort of get these little things figured out. If you enjoy watching The Fizz, hope you like, give us a thumbs up. Give us a subscribe, tell your friends. Until next week, see you then.
Peace.